Right, y'all. This episode 36, you all make sure you have your notebooks and your pens because I am going to be giving you all 4 things in which you can help your child and help yourself as well, getting rid of that colonized mindset. All right. So make sure you all stay tuned for this new episode of Real Reading Talk. It's about to be fire. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Reading Talk. I am your most gracious host, Ms. Sasha. And with Real Reading Talk, I discuss the real systemic issues that are at the very core, the very foundation, as to why there are low levels of literacy in the Black community and the ways in which we can combat these issues together. I thank you all for joining me. I thank you for my new folks. Once again, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you sharing. And I hope that you continue to gain benefit. And I hope that you continue to tell folks about what this podcast is all about. And of course, with my old heads, all right, I definitely appreciate you rocking with me since day one. All right, my day ones. Okay, shout out to you. And just keep listening, and I welcome all feedback. All right, because I'm trying to get better each and every episode. I want to just keep bringing it. And also I'm coming close to the end of this season. All right. For the first season, I believe I had like about 44, 45 episodes. And right now I'm on episode 36 of this second season, y'all. That's right. So I've been putting in that work and been having guests on. And for the third season, I definitely have intentions on having more guests. I plan on reaching out to other folks who are here locally, as well as people who are not local. I want some business people on Real Reading Talk. I want people in the Black community who are doing great things, and I want them to come on and talk about their different reading experiences, reading journeys, talk about the books that have impacted their lives. That's something I definitely want to heavily focus on. And, and I just want them to, again, keep it real, keep it 100 in terms of how they grew up reading or maybe did not, grow up in a household where they read. Just like for myself, I talk about that a lot. And so with that being said, that is my intention for season 3 to, really, just keep expanding my outreach and trying to get more people involved on this mission of us really bringing reading back into our lives to where it is high on our value ladder. And so with all of that being said, I want to get right into the topic that it's always topics, really, real talk. Okay. I literally, y'all, it's like I have my notebook and I'll write down different things that I'm learning, while I'm listening to, other folks who are extremely knowledgeable. I'm talking about genius folks, okay, like Dr. Greg Carr. He is like one of my go-tos when it comes to studying and learning and getting some ideas about what books to get. He's like the top person that comes to my mind. Okay. And so, I listen to people like him, like I talk about a lot, Dr. Amos Wilson, and he is someone definitely I hope that you all have looked up by now. All you got to do is go to YouTube and you can type in his name and you will see a lot of the different lectures that he has given. Okay. And of course, Dr. Joy DeGruy, she's another one that I listen to. Dr. Kaba Hiawatha Kameni, he's another brother. Of course, I've talked about Dr. Boyce Watkins, Dr. Claude Anderson. I even listen to Tariq Nasheed sometimes, and I like to listen to a range of people who, and all of these people I named, trust and believe, they have Black people in the forefront of their minds because of the fact we understand this anti-Black system that we are in. And if you are not, if you do not believe it's an anti-Black system, by now, when you're seeing, not in addition to the police brutality videos, right? We see that those sick videos where the police are assaulting our people, or we'll see a video where in the school system, just like this one recent video I just saw, which really, I think they call it trauma porn, if I'm not mistaken, and that's really what it becomes after a while. Because a lot of times, y'all, real talk, I can't watch a lot of those videos. Okay, I can't keep just having that in my psyche. Okay, and I'm glad I'm saying this, because this is going to segue into what I wanted to talk about, and giving you all some tips on how to prepare ourselves and our children, and especially our babies, when it comes to the start of their day. Okay, but it was this one video, just to tell you all real quick about this principal. I'm quite sure a lot of y'all saw it, where the principal has shoved this boy. I think it was in the cafeteria. The boy was, now the boy, first of all, you could tell the boy was shorter than him. Okay, so he was a younger, child. I don't know what grade he was in or whatever, but come to find out, the boy is autistic. Okay, and the principal literally shoved him, and you could tell. I mean, you see from the video, the boy went flying. I believe he shoved him and he fell on the floor. And once again, how many videos, how many articles do we have to read to see and understand that we are in a system that is at war against Black people? And then you can't think of war always in the mindset of, okay, well, somebody is coming to you with a gun or a knife or a sword or something like that, or a bomb. And no, when somebody's at war or attacking you, it can be on any level. Just like for example, you think about in our communities right now, where our communities are underserved, all right, where our communities are distressed economically, and you do not have healthy, viable options in terms of food. Okay, you do not have healthy options in terms of having a grocery store that is worthy of our people to be able to go and get great foods that's going to give us good nutrients. Now you're going to have your typical little Save Marts here, or these little stores that we know a lot of the folks in the Arab community have set up shop from back in the 80s, and you know what I'm saying, in the 90s. You see all these, the Arabs coming into our communities and putting up all these different stores that's filled with alcohol, filled with cigarettes, filled with black and white, all of this type of stuff. And then, just all types of craziness that, is usually attracted to those types of stores. But you'll see those stores in the communities. But when you have a store that, just like, for example, Whole Foods, and really, I'm not shouting out Whole Foods because, that's a whole nother conversation, but I'm just giving an example. Those types of stores you will not find in our communities. That's done on purpose. That's a form of warfare. That's letting us know, yeah, we are attacking you on all fronts. We don't want you to be healthy, because when you are putting healthy things in your body, it's going to what? It's going to also help you in terms of being able to retain information, being able to think critically, being able to problem solve, being able to think in a way where you're being self-sufficient, where you're able to thrive and live as your best self. So yes, so just in case, how folks like, what do you mean you're at war? That I just gave you an example. That's one. Let me give you another one. When it comes to the school system, not just that example that I just gave you about the principal that shoved the student. We could just go straight to the curriculum. You can have the great school, you can have the teachers, you can have the teachers that are all Black. You can have majority Black teachers. But if you're talking about in terms of what our kids are learning, if they are not learning about history from the standpoint on a global standpoint, and not only that, not from this whitewashed type of stance, or this whitewashed, mentality that the school books are intentionally written from, that's a form of warfare. What is it doing? It's intentionally erasing you as a Black person. It's intentionally erasing me as a Black person. It's intentionally erasing the things that actually happened in history, period. That's a form of warfare, so that you can believe in your mind that, oh my goodness, well, I guess only white people done things that are great. Okay, so when you talk about just like, what is it, the father of medicine, Hippocrates, for my doctors out there, when you have to take that Hippocratic oath, but then you look, you like, wait a minute though, like he was the one, the father of medicine. What about Imhotep? Okay, it's like when we are able to when we know our history, then we're able to come back and say, hey, look, no, you're not just going to tell us about these people that you want us to learn about, these people who hated Black people. And in fact, these people who learn from Black people, when you're talking about the Greeks, learning from the Egyptians, okay? And you go back and folks who've actually did the work and studied in terms of how the Greeks actually have written about how, yes, they learned from the Egyptians and stolen as well. But they also they acknowledge the fact that they learned from the Egyptians. But again, what are we taught? Our kids are taught in school, they are flooding them with Greek mythology. They're going to make sure they learn about Greek mythology. Why are they doing that? One of the reasons why they do that is because we already know about the whole democracy aspect, because they like to talk about, oh yes, the demos and the democracy and all of that. They try, because that's what this place has modeled themselves off of, Greek and Rome. Okay, all right, but they also want you to be in a state of make-believe. They also want you to be in a state of fantasy, because that's how the system of white supremacy works. This false notion of white supremacy, it works only if you are in a state of fantasy. If you are not in a real state, if you are not understanding what's going on around you, then you're going to believe everything that they put in your face. And that's exactly what they do. Again, that's another example of warfare. All right. And so, those are just a couple examples that, I wanted to definitely articulate to you all, so you all can understand, again, what we are up against. But guess what? We're built for this. Okay. We are built for this. We have the solutions. We have the tools. We just have to look inside. We have to believe that we have the tools. We have to believe that our existence is worthy. Allah, one God, created all of us. Everybody has unique talents and gifts. But as we know, as Black people, we have been told that we are not human. We have been told that we do not have souls. And that's how the colonization began. When folks came in and started saying, hey, we're going to civilize you. You all are savages. So we're coming to civilize you. Get rid of all of whatever it was that you were doing and how you were practicing or worshiping or whatever the case may be. We're going to tell you what you should be doing, who you should worship. And they made sure that who we should worship looks white, looks like those who are in control. And I'm going to say a perceived control, because trust and believe, we understand who's really in control, and that's Allah, one God. Okay, period. And so when we understand that concept, when we understand that they're not in control, and we worship the creator, not the creation, then we begin to elevate ourselves. And that's what I want to press upon us with this particular episode: elevation, getting rid of the colonized mindset. As we know, Queen Elizabeth II, of course, the whole world knows, that she has moved on. She's passed. Okay. And unfortunately, when you have a colonized mind, when you have a mind in which you don't even have just a little bit of consciousness, you'll have people saying things like, the angels are crying. Yes, and I did read that someone said that, and this was a Black person, said the angels are crying because Queen Elizabeth has died. And I'm sitting up here like, are you kidding me? Like, really? And, again, in colonization, the main, the foundation of colonization is to erase your memory, is to disconnect you from the past, is to keep you always in a state of confusion and chaos so that you cannot connect the dots. Because when a person says that, and especially a Black person, and you thinking about, even just on a small, you don't even have to be scholarly to understand remotely in terms of, you're talking about the Queen of England, you're talking about England, those who were involved in slavery. Is that one of the reasons why we speak in English? I don't know. Y'all tell me, because last I checked, our ancestors, back in Africa, they weren't speaking English, right? You had, people speaking many different languages, you know what I'm saying? And English wasn't one of them. And why is English this language that is spoken pretty much globally, right? Well, that's done through colonization. And it wasn't a thing where it was like, oh yeah, we're trading with the people and you're learning. No, it was, no, this is what you're going to do. This is oppression. This is some bully stuff. Okay. And the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II, Lizzie, to some folks, like, okay, anyway, if you ain't talking about, people been talking about Queen Latifah or whoever, your Queen Nzinga, whoever you want. If you ain't talking about them, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what you talking about? Okay. Like, she ain't I don't care. All right. And rightfully so, because of the fact she's a part of a regime that was a part, and still is a part, still is a part of oppression. Just like I like how this one educator, when he was giving a talk to some students that I was subbing at a school, and he told these middle school kids, he was like, hey, listen, do you understand, what England has done? A lot of how they've stolen a lot. You go to their museums, that people talk about in terms of the diamond that she had, that's a stolen, okay? These are things in which they are a part of: thievery and oppression, rape, slaughter, brutality, period. So for you to even part your lips, to even try to make it seem like, oh my gosh, man, the world, the angels are crying and the world is just, oh my goodness, man, everybody's just sullen and so sad and somber. Who are you talking about? But again, that's what colonization does. Colonization actually keeps you from remembering. It's about the discontinuance, okay? It's about you being disconnected from your past. Always remember, our present is the past. Just like when you go to the doctor's office and something is wrong with you, what is one of the first things that they do? They ask you about your history. Okay, do you have a history of this? You know what I'm saying? Going on in your family? Do you have a history of diabetes, heart attack, asthma, all these different things? You have a history of whatever. Why are they doing that? Are they doing that just because? No, they're doing that because they are trying to see, okay, this may be a pattern. This is something that could be happening, from in their family. And this could be why they're experiencing this. This could be why this is going on inside of their bodies. Now, we understand that when the doctors do that, but how come when it comes to things in terms of history, in terms of us learning, the different things in terms of our struggle, our experiences, how come we can't apply that same thing? That's what we should be doing. And this is why, again, my podcast, Real Reading Talk, is needed because I want to be here, number one, to help support us in getting that aspect of literacy high back on our value ladder as Black people. That's where we come from. We come from a history of people who love and always have loved to learn, to study, and also being conscious, being proud of who we are, being proud of our skin color, being proud of our hair texture, broad noses, thick lips, and how we are, how our swag, all of that. That's a part of our African roots that we should be proud about. And so this is why I want to make sure that I'm always, saying this in the podcast, period. And you have to be unapologetic about saying it as well. You can't be scared, y'all. You can't be scared. These people, they will sit up there and have you in a schism. They'll make you think that the things that they're teaching our children, they'll make you believe that when you go places in terms of whoever's running the particular business, that, oh, all of these people that, yeah, they're supposed to be white. Yeah, because see, they passed the test and see, they have the knowledge and they were able to go through that rigorous study and that's how they're able to make it. You guys, you have some work to do. So that's why you all have the quote unquote lower levels. I really don't like saying that because I give much respect and props to our janitors, to our secretaries, our folks, our people who are helping to keep stuff clean. Okay. Because trust and believe, people who are doing that, it takes a whole lot of not just skill, but just that grit to be able to, to handle those types of jobs, especially when you have jobs where you're doing those kind of jobs and you got white folks above you trying to sit up there and belittle you. That takes a lot of determination, a lot of grit, all right, to be able to endurance to be able to withstand that. But you all understand what I'm saying, right? It's this whole notion of those thinking positions, those positions where you have to problem solve and be strategic, that's usually reserved for white folks. Okay. Those other jobs, it don't take much thinking to do. Okay. So that's why the Black folks, y'all got those type of low level jobs. All right. But again, these are things that we see. Okay. And those happen to be the jobs that they'll have that you make the big bucks as well. Those are the jobs that are reserved for the CEOs of the companies. Even when you go into the schools and you go into those board meetings. I remember when my kids were in a particular charter school, and I remember going to the board meeting. Sea of white folk. Now here it is though, the school predominantly Black. Now the secretary is Black. Again, the janitor is Black. Okay. Even the deans are Black, right? You gotta have the deans, you know what I mean? Especially them Black men, gotta keep them in line. But when it comes to the curriculum, when it comes to the board meetings, all right, and even with the teachers, you're still going to see predominantly white in those spaces. Okay. All of that is done on purpose. And so when we understand that and what kind of system that we are in, then we can operate accordingly. Again, like I talked about, operate in a space of reality instead of make believe. Because the whole aspect of how white supremacy works, they want you to buy into, because that's what we're buying into. Remember, we bought into the fact that they are superior. All right. Even if it's subconscious, we bought into that fact. Oh, they must know more. Okay, we have to defer to that white person in the meeting because see, they must know more. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Those of you who go to those meetings and, you'll have them white folks, they'll get to talking and it's like, folks act like everything got to be quiet. You know what I'm saying? They know what they're talking about. Okay. They know more about our community than we do. They got to come in and they got to fix up everything. All right. And so these are the things in which we have to make sure that we are speaking out against, and we have to make sure that we're doing it unapologetically, standing on our square, 10 toes down. We have to make sure we're doing that. And as I'm telling you and reminding you, I'm reminding myself first, because yes, that can get hard. And especially if it's only one of you and you're trying to do that, oh, that can get extremely hard. But that's why we need a support system. And that's another reason why, again, that I have Real Reading Talk, because I want this to be a support system. I want you to be able to listen to these episodes, whether I'm speaking or whether I have guests on and everybody, we're having these conversations. I want you all to be inspired. I want you all to be empowered so that when you do go into these spaces where there is a predominantly white space, where you don't have to cower down. You know what I mean? You don't have to start feeling like, okay, I can't really say this or da da da, you know. We have to start building up more of the courage. And a part of how that courage happens is that when you know, we have to be in that mindset of always trying to read and study, and especially when it comes to our history. And in addition, not just saying our history in terms of just about Black people, we need to read about all history. All right. We need to read about all, because you have to understand, just like that one book, I haven't read it yet and I need to read it, The Art of War. That's a popular book that a lot of people reference. All right. And I would highly recommend you all get it. I know that I started listening to it on audio, but I haven't finished listening. So I got like the first chapter or something like that. But one of the things, though, that is referenced a lot is that you have to know your enemy. You have to know your enemy. So when somebody's trying to attack you, you got to know what angles they're coming from. You have to understand, okay, so I see how they usually do. They like to usually go to the right, you know what I'm saying? So I got to make sure I have my counter right there. Or, you know, they usually like to go, you know what I'm saying, go low, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to be in that mindset. So you have to learn your enemy. So you have to, just like Malcolm X said, all right, may peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Just like he said, you know, read everything you get your hands on. Okay, for real. This is real reading talk. Anything you can read, you know what I'm saying, you can get your hands on or whatever, go ahead and read it so you can just be up on the knowledge. You can be up on what's going on, period. All right. But of course, I'm always going to say we definitely have to make sure that we are reading those history books in particular that talks about Black people, Black culture, Black experiences, and not just here in America, across the globe. Because this whole system of attack is global. It's not just Black people being attacked here. We're talking about Black people, anti-Blackness globally. All right, so we have to understand that. And so one of the things in which I wanted you all to write down. All right, so this is something that I've been thinking about in terms of, especially too, with our babies just, you know, starting back in school. They've been in school for, a lot of our kids been in school for about a month now, or maybe a couple of weeks or so, whatever the case may be. So what I need for us to really pay attention to is preparing our babies to make sure that they are starting their day off in the best way possible. Okay. So the first thing that I want you to write down is, in the morning, when your children get up, making sure that they are saying or they are hearing things that are positive. All right. So, for example, if when your children wake up in the morning, some of you may have a routine. I know I'll go with my house, for example. We have to make an early morning prayer. Okay. And for those of you who don't know, in the Muslim community, in the Islamic faith, we pray 5 times a day. And one of our prayers that we make is before sunrise. All right. So that prayer is called the Fajr Prayer. Okay. So that's the prayer before the sun rises. And so this is a prayer that I make sure I'm going in my children's room and telling them to get up. Now, real talk, you know, they don't always get up all the time. Okay. Because this, you know, again, this is the prayer that happens before the sunrise. Okay. So that means that it's still dark. And it could be early, depending on what time of year it is. Okay. Because sometimes they will have to get up at 4:30 in the morning. All right. But I'm saying that, you know what I'm saying? I'm just giving an example again, like I said, of my house. But the thing that I say when I go in their room is, and I'm going to say this in Arabic. So I say, Alhamdulillah, ladhi ahyana ba'da ma amatana wa ilayhi nushur. So I say, oh Allah, who has given us life after giving us death. What starts off with all praise is due to Allah, all praise is due to God, who's given us life after giving us death, and unto him you shall return. All right. So that's the first thing that they hear in the morning. All right. Again, this is something that I'm putting in their ears. All right. Even though they may not be totally conscious, but the point I'm making is that I'm starting them off again with understanding who we worship, period. Now, you all may have something else in terms of how you start off, but the point I'm making is that you have to start off with something that's positive. You have to start off with something that is going to be uplifting, something that's going to remind them that, yes, their existence matters, their existence is valuable, and the only one that they should be fearing is one God, period. Not no white man, no white woman, not no system. That's what we have to start putting in their consciousness and in their subconscious. Also, if you choose, you may say, you know what, after I get up, and praise God, then after that, you can tell your children to say, give them different quotes by Black people. Okay. Have them write down different quotes. Have them say different quotes in the morning, especially if you have your child getting ready to go off to school. Before they go to school, have them say things to themselves like, I love myself. I love my skin color. I love my hair texture. Thank God for making me the way that he did. Thank God for my brain. Thank God for my family. When you're doing that, when they're doing those things to where they're reminding themselves of their valuable existence, now you are building up their armor. Now you are building up their courage. You're building up their heart. You're building up their minds. You're keeping them in a state of being focused and also a state of appreciating how they are made and not feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm not worthy. Even though they may not say those words, but that's how some of our children act. You can't start your children off with hearing all kind of negative music. I trust and believe there's been times where around 6 a.m, you can, you hear folks, in the neighborhood, folks are getting ready to go to work or getting their kids off to school. And all you hear is, itches, I'm saying, them hoes, them man, and I'm sitting up here like, and then you about to send that back to the classroom? Dag, man, dag. And we wonder why we dealing with a lot of the issues that we're dealing with. We wonder why we having these issues where you had that one kid, Javante. Sorry if a Javante is listening to the podcast, but that's the first name that came to my mind. You got Javante, he coming to the classroom and he ready to fight. He ready to fight the class. He ready to fight the teachers, the principal. He don't care. He about to just go off. But then people want to sit up there and basically, you want to put Javante in detention or you want to suspend him and all that. But we got to go to the root of why Javante coming in the classroom and want to fight everybody. Why is that? And one of the reasons is just like I said, again, if we're not starting our children off with self-affirmations, starting them off with, with that mindset, that consciousness of, hey, look, I have a valuable existence. I am worthy. Okay. I have greatness. God gave it to me. I'm going to praise him and I'm going to show my greatness. I'm not going to waste my gifts on ignorance. When we put that into our children, then that is what's going to help them have a healthy start. So when they do go into that classroom, at least it lessens the chance of them, acting out. Okay, that's going to lessen the chance significantly. They're not going to want to go to class when they want to fight it because they look like they understand that, hey, look, if I'm acting all crazy and doing all that, and I'm going to stay in a fight. And next thing you know, it's going to create enemies. It's a whole just domino effect of how, things can get started. So that's the first thing. So that's number one. Number two, making sure that you have a journal for your children. Okay. Journaling is something that we need to start early. I am living right now in a district that I just found out that they have the lowest They had the lowest scores when it comes to writing on these tests in the state. You hear me? The lowest when it comes to writing. Why is that? Well, I'm quite sure a lot of it could have to do with this whole technology piece, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of our folks, are on the phones, they're texting or typing or whatever the case may be. But even still, writing actually starts with what? It starts with a thought, right? And so if our children are not encouraged to think, encouraged to read, which is like the sister to writing, okay? If they're not encouraged to be able to do things that's going to help create great memories so they can have thoughts that they're able to put down on paper, then guess what? They're not even going to be able to have any ideas of what to write about. And that's why it's important, again, about creating that space, that culture of creating great memories. This is why we have to expose our children to many different experiences. They have to be able to think globally. Even if they're not able to travel yet internationally, get your passports for yourself and your children. Get your passports, please, okay? Because our children need to understand. They have to start thinking outside of this place here. They have to start thinking outside of America, period. But again, if we are doing something simple, getting them journals, having them write down their thoughts, it doesn't have to be grammatically correct. That'll come with time. The more trust and believe. And I like how the one man who said this, Jim Trelease, he's the author of this book called the Read-Aloud Handbook. And he talks about how grammar is more caught than taught. All right. So basically, in a nutshell, a lot of times in terms of grammar, they're able to catch in terms of how to start writing things, or how to even speak, rather, because the speaking actually is going to come first, how to say things in the correct way. All right. Because they are hearing how other people around them are speaking. So they're able to start catching how to say those words in the correct way, how to enunciate. Okay. How to make sure when you are talking, you are pausing and you're not keep going on and on and on. And that's going to translate into their writing. So when they start writing, they understand, oh, okay. Oh, so I have to put a period here. So I can't keep making this sentence go on and on like a run-on sentence, right? All right. So these are things, again, when you start off with small things, getting them a cute little journal. Let them go pick out the journal and have them start writing down their feelings, their thoughts, because you can trust and believe. I know they got some thoughts. They got some things they want to get off their chest, especially if you got your children in these schools. I don't care if it's a predominantly Black school or if you got your child in a predominantly white school because you feel like, I got to have them out, where the white folks are and the immigrants are, because, this is where everybody got the high test score. So I got to have them there. But then your child is coming home and they self-esteem is low because they're like, man, I don't feel included. They excluded me. All right. Also, every time I look up a new paper we got to write is talking about somebody white. Nobody is talking about anybody in the African community, whether it's here or in the African diaspora globally. I know nothing about my history, but yeah, I'm sitting, in close proximity to these white folks, with all these resources. So, I guess I'm doing something. Be careful of that. Okay, I ain't gonna go too deep into that because I'll be digressing, but just remember, Black people, be careful of that before you so quick to sign your child up for those private schools that you get so, starry-eyed about. Oh, wow, yeah, they got accepted to here, there. And then you go into the school and then you see all the cliques, you see the folks, that they see the kids who get treated a certain kind of way because their parents were able to, give a hefty donation to the school. So some kind of way that child, they're always leading this, or, they don't never get in trouble for that. That type of stuff happens. Okay. So just want to put that in your ear. So, but yes, so back to what I was saying in terms of things in which, again, what we can do in our homes to make sure that, number one, we are getting rid of that colonization and we are building up our children. And we're also, again, we are helping to build those foundational skills that are needed when it comes to reading, and helping them to understand that reading is liberation. Reading is freedom. All right. Reading is not something you need to run away from. You need to be scared of. So starting off with different things like this is gearing their minds, you're prepping their minds to be able to be conscious. Again, being conscious is the opposite of make believe. Okay. Being conscious of your reality. Consciousness means that what? You are aware of what's going on around you, and you don't create these alternate realities. And that's what this system, they want you to do. That's why they put a lot of money, y'all, into the whole Disney and the fantasy and all. They do that on purpose because they want you, oh yes, yeah, wishing upon a star. Makes no difference who you are unless you're Black. Ooh, yeah. See, I said we gotta keep it real. We gotta keep it real. Okay. So the first thing I said, self-affirmations, right? And again, I gave you an example of how I do in my house. And I also, in addition to what I told you all before, in terms of starting off with prayer, I'm also giving my children, I give them quotes. I send them, different positive little small prayers and different things like that helps to build their spirit, helps to build their faith. Okay, so that's the self-affirmation. Again, that's you affirming who you are, that's you appreciating your existence, that's you giving honor to the honor to the creator who made you a great creation. All right. And then I also talked about journaling. Okay, that's key. Okay. Also, when it comes to foods, okay, making sure that you are giving your children something healthy to start off with. Blueberries is great. My kids, they're not really big blueberries fans. I am, because when I read about how blueberries, they help to give you a great mood. So I said, oh, wow. I'm like, man, I'm about to start really pumping up these blueberries. All right. Almonds is great for the brain. I had learned this some years ago, and somebody was, giving a lecture talking about that. And they were saying, yes, almonds is something that's great to strengthen your memory. Okay. And even if your children, maybe you have nut allergies or something like that, there are other things in which you can eat that's going to help strengthen your children's brains, because you want to start them off really good. Because, we already live in this high sugar, place anyway. And yes, I'm addicted to sugar. Yes, I'm a professed addict. Yes. Okay. Sugar is in pretty much everything, but there are ways in which we can actually learn to try to at least curb that some, especially when it comes to the start of our day, making sure your children start off their day with drinking some water. Okay. Getting their systems flushed. These things we have to intentionally be doing so that we can actually get our children in the mindset of always being ready, so they don't have to get ready. Y'all know the saying, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Okay. And last thing, so number 4, decompressing. So now our children are back home. Now they have left the school. Now they're back home and they got to get settled. They have to get ready to do their homework and get ready to eat dinner and get ready for the next day. So now what we can do, and I have to do this with my children as well. Okay, so I'm not acting like, I'm over here and my kids aren't trying to run for those devices, run for them phones, run for them laptops. Yes, I have kids like that. Okay, but what I do before they go to bed is I'm reading a book to them, or reading some pages from a book to them. All right, that's a way to get them decompressed. That's a way to get them calm. That's the way to get their minds geared, shifted towards a restful night. Also, you can do things like implementing meditation. This is something, actually, this is new for me, what I started trying to implement with my children, doing a couple nights a week of meditation, lighting a couple of candles in my room, and they all sit on the bed. And 15 minutes, I set the timer. Go to YouTube, and I found how you have the rain, listen to the rain drops, or, the rain or whatever, or thunder, however, you know what I'm saying, you want to listen to something that's soothing, have that on, set my timer, and then we just sit in silence. All right. Teaching them to be introspective. And that's what the whole decompressing, right? Because you have to get rid of all that stuff that we went out and, you went out into the world, you had to go to work, you had to do your business, you had to go to school, whatever it is. You got to now go back to centering yourself. And so these are practices that, again, I try to implement. All right. I'm not always doing things, again, I'm not doing things all the time, but I try to implement it most times. And especially, like I said, starting off your day. And again, starting off your day, all of these things, especially. But again, with the whole aspect of building that foundation, making sure that we are getting our minds geared in the right way in the beginning, that's going to set it off. And that's what's going to set the tone for the rest of the day. And it's going to make it a lot easier for you to transition when it comes into decompressing. You're going to want to be able to teach your children to be introspective so that they don't always think that it's the world against them. No, you have to think about, what are you bringing to the table? All right. What gifts, what talents, what are you bringing? How can you be better? What did you do throughout the day that you realize, you know what, I should have said that, I could have said that in a way that was a little more nicer, or I should have spoke up. Dang, man, I should have advocated for myself. I should have, when that person said this, I could have said that. So that's a part, again, of the decompressing. It makes you be introspective and it makes you be centered. All right. So that's what I have for you all today. I hope that was helpful. I know sometimes I kind of, went off in a little tangent here and tangent there, but it all is connected, okay? Because again, you all know the reason why I made this podcast is because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Tired of seeing these low levels of literacy. I'm tired of seeing our babies struggling. They're 8, 9 years old, and they're barely reading sight words. They're barely reading words like because or any. They're looking at these. It's like, no, no, that has to stop. We don't come from that. We come from greatness, period. And I want us to be a community in which we are getting back to talking to each other. We are getting back. Our elders are being connected to the young people instead of being scared of the young people, or always shaking their head at the young people. We got to get rid of that. They don't need to always see, us sitting up here condemning them or humiliating them or always trying to make them feel like they ain't nothing, they ain't got nothing to offer. And we talking about that's our way of building them up. Well, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got to dog them out. You know what I'm saying? And, they got to understand this world is tough. Freeze. Okay. No, we don't have to do that. No, it's actually just like our dear brother, our ancestor, Frederick Douglass said, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. We have to build them on a foundation of strength. And that means putting in them goodness, love, compassion, mercy. These are all aspects of humanity now. Okay. And this is how we were made. We were made to have compassion, mercy. We were made to talk to each other in a way where we are uplifting each other. Don't buy into that white supremacist notion that we ain't human, we ain't nothing, and we supposed to be dogged out. Because that comes from that whole colonized thinking. See, when you colonize and when you oppress, you got to beat them. You got to destroy them. Okay. And so we got to get rid of that, because what happened is we actually adopted that generational curse. And then we started raising our children like that. Yes, you got to dog them out. You dig? You got to go off. And when you do that, you go off and you know what I'm saying? And, that's what's going to make them strong. It's like, no, and trust. And I can attest to that. That doesn't. You actually break in their spirit. That's what you're doing. You're breaking their spirit. They're either going to turn out to be timid and afraid to do stuff, or they're going to grow up thinking that, that's how they're supposed to deal with the world. So now, again, you got the Javante or you got Shakisha coming in the classroom. What? My mama was just fighting last night. What? Oh my God, I'm about to go off. Like, really? you're freaking 6. Like, seriously. Are you what you going what why are you going off like that? What's wrong with you, girl? And she can fight. That's the sad part. So you got her in the class, you got Javante on the other side, and then you got the other kids who some like them and then some not. And so then you got this whole just sickness, this toxic stew that brews in our classrooms. And then we wonder why. It is a struggle for the teachers to be able to get information disseminated. And then to top it off, you have that disconnected teacher, disengaged teacher, where you got the curriculum that just absolutely sucks and got one blip of education about anything about Black folks being empowered, inventing, being doctors, mathematicians. You ain't gonna see that. So all of that's going on in the classroom. But I'm gonna digress because I said I was gonna end, because I'm about to now turn it into part 2 of this episode. So I'm about to stop it right now. So with all that being said, I thank you all for listening. I thank you all for joining me once again. This is episode 36, season 2 of Real Reading Talk. I thank you for rocking with me. Please make sure that you share this episode and share them all. All right. Leave me feedback when I upload it to YouTube. Please tell me what things that I need that you think that I should improve upon, or some different show ideas, different types of guests. I welcome all the feedback. Just because you give me feedback doesn't mean that I'm going to use it all, but I welcome it because I want to see what you all think. I want to know what's on your minds. Okay. So thank you all. And let me, oh, you know what? I'm going to save that for my outro, actually. The quote, I have an awesome quote from Mr. Paul Robeson that I'm going to share in the outro. So my name is Miss Sasha. This has been episode 36 of Real Reading Talk, season 2. Thank you for listening. Peace. All right. Just like I said, y'all, I like to do what I say I'm going to do. All right. And I hope that I did that for you all. I hope that the different examples, or different things rather, or tools that I gave you all, share with you all, is some tools that you all can utilize daily that's going to help prepare you and prepare our children to have a decolonized mindset. Okay, so that's what we are on a mission to do. All right, we got to decolonize our thinking. Okay, and let me do a little housekeeping. All right, so for those of you who've been listening all the time, you know that I'm definitely going to tell you about me being a pre-K through 4th grade reading tutor and a certified dyslexia tutor as well. So if your child is struggling with issues when it comes to those basic foundational skills in reading, all right, so you're talking about the spelling, you're talking about reading with fluency, you're talking about basic writing skills, these are things in which I can help your child overcome. All right. So please go to my website, abclearntutoring.com. That is abclearntutoring.com. Sign your child up today for the free reading assessment. All right. I am an ACE provider. For those of you who are in Ohio, I'm an ACE provider. Also, I'm a Learning Ohio provider as well. So if you qualify for those programs, yes, you can be able to get scholarships that can pay for my tutoring sessions. Also, I am the founder and executive director of ABC Read. Our mission is to develop and nurture a culture of literacy in Black and underserved communities. Please go to our website because we are doing phenomenal things. We are showing up at different events with books in hand, okay? Just like the books that I tell you all about on my podcast. These are books that I make sure that I'm giving to the community, all right? We also give away healthy foods, just like I talked about in the episode, right? We understand the importance of that, having those healthy foods on deck, all right? We really trying to, change our mindset. So we have to make sure that we are, putting more healthy things in our bodies, okay? I'm not definitely no nutritionist, so I ain't going there. But you understand what I'm saying. I'm trying to do little by little, trying to help our people in all ways possible when it comes to us understanding the empowerment mindset that we have to have. And of course, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Reading is Freedom. There is a multitude of read-alouds that I have on there that my children have read. So if you all are looking for that book and you're trying to struggle, like what book should I read? I don't know. Go to my YouTube channel, Reading is Freedom, and you got a whole gamut, plethora of books to choose from, okay? And last but not least, I want to leave you all with this quote from Mr. Paul Robeson. All right, he was the activist. He was an actor as well. And I want to leave you all with this quote. He spoke out heavily against oppression and racism when it comes to Black folks. And he said this: the answer to injustice is not to silence the critic, but to end the injustice. Let's sit on that one. All right, you all. Thank you all again for listening to another episode of Real Reading Talk. I am your host, Miss Seisha, and this has been episode 36, season 2. And make sure that you please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. Thank you for listening.